Now, as a good health researcher, I'm going to take my one opportunity in the day to say there's lots of things we can do to improve worker wellbeing, only one of which is biophilic design. And we need to bear that in mind because biophilic design can have some huge benefits, but it doesn't take the place of also having a lot of these other things in the workplace, which include a positive workplace culture, which, by the way, can be promoted by having good biophilic design. Designing spaces where people can collaborate more easily promotes good workplace culture. Having a safe workplace is incredibly important and still something we're constantly working towards. Having meaningful work and having good conditions in terms of pay and hours, they're all really important to your wellbeing at work. But so is your workplace environment, and there's a lot of feedback to some of those things, the safe workplace, the meaningful work and the conditions. So, having pointed out there's lots of things, now I'm going to talk about the promise of nature connection. So biophilic design emerges from Edward O. Wilson's hypothesis back in the 80s that nature is the key to our aesthetic, intellectual, cognitive and spiritual satisfaction. It's a really compelling theory, the biophilia hypothesis. And this argument that if we can improve people's access to nature, his argument was two-sided. We can improve their well-being and we can improve sustainability is the argument. Now, it's more challenging than that in reality, of course, but that compelling theory has been the basis of quite a lot of studies now and has been shown to hold up reasonably well. And it's inspired, of course, the field of biophilic design, which I'm actually not going to talk about much because I'm going to let other people do that later on. But I'm going to talk about what evidence we've got for some of it. So do we actually have evidence that improving people's connection to nature, particularly in our built environments, particularly in cities where people often don't have that many opportunities to connect with nature, if we bring nature indoors, do we have the evidence that it actually works for two things, work satisfaction, or three things, sorry, work satisfaction, work productivity, and worker wellbeing, all of which are interrelated anyway. So I'm going to talk about 8 things, I can count. Biophilic design theory particularly emphasises a number of elements and also emphasises that you shouldn't do one of these in isolation of the others. So I'm about to do what it says you shouldn't do and unpick them each and look at the evidence for each of them when biophilic design theory says we must integrate them. But when we actually look at some of these different elements, we've got great evidence for some that we can improve worker wellbeing and work satisfaction, not such good evidence for others from the health literature, the academic literature, the workplace productivity research area. So I'll go through a couple of them in turn.